Good evening, 49er faithful. Back for the last time, I promise, this evening. Had to get in 3 live streams today to pack the content while I'm on the way to go play the Packers, right? Had to get plenty of live streams in so that my travel day tomorrow doesn't leave you without content. And what better way to close this out than by bringing on my current guest, as you see here, Aaron from 49ers First Takes. Aaron, how you doing, man?
Pretty good. I had to beg you for this one. I was like the weird, creepy ex-girlfriend who keeps calling me. So
no, we had to get this in.
You relented,
had to go through.
So.
Yeah, one more time. I mean, the people want content this week, and the people get content. I'm very excited to be going through one more time. You know, this is the first time that we got together since the Cowboys game. And so I thought, what better way to kick it off than talking a little bit about that one? What were some of your takeaways high level from Niners Cowboys and that sweet victory that may not have felt like a very convincing win, but counted as a win nevertheless and advanced the 49ers to go into Lambeau to play the Packers?
My biggest takeaway from that game is how quickly everybody was writing off the Cowboys on Twitter. And I'm talking about Niners fans. And it was bothering me because I was like, yo, we've done this before, guys. We got up on people and then we took their foot off the brake or foot off the gas, excuse me, not the brake. And, you know, we know what happens, right? So sure enough, we get into late third quarter, fourth quarter, and it starts to happen. I'm like, oh my God. And, you know, you get the miss throw that if Jimmy hits it, it's pretty much the game's over.
Right.
And then you have the interception by Jimmy. And it was kind of like, I wasn't even trying to be negative. I was just kind of trying to be like, hey, guys, pump the brakes a little bit. It's literally the first quarter. And yeah, that was kind of my biggest takeaway was like everybody was like, because we have such a disdain for the Cowboys that it was like this game was over. And I mean, we looked dominant too, but
yes,
that's too early to. I mean, they got talent on that team, both sides of the ball. I just think they lack coaching, really. So
yeah,
that was my biggest takeaway.
I think that's fair. And it did look dominant, right? The 49ers scoring on every possession in the first half. Very efficient game from Jimmy Garoppolo. The defense appeared to be feasting. It did seem that it was setting up to be the type of game where the Niners could have steamrolled the Cowboys. But I agree. When that happened, when they got out to that lead, I also was cautious because I knew just how much offensive firepower existed on that Cowboys team. And I knew that this 49ers team has been prone to stalling out at points, that there have been various quarters throughout this season where the offense just hasn't been able to continue going. And, you know, at this point, you wonder if there was anything to the shoulder injury for Jimmy Garoppolo. I know fans don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear excuses. They just want to see results. But it was such a marked drop off from the first half to the second. It does lead you to wonder if that's the case, and if it was, whether that will linger into this upcoming matchup. You have to hope that the Niners can come out fast against the Packers because it was necessary against the Cowboys. I mean, they certainly had the number one overall offense, so that helped them in their climb back into this one. But inevitably, some of those things that you knew were going to bubble up for the 49ers certainly did. You had the pick. You had the special teams mistakes, although Robbie Gould was absolutely clutch. A lot of these season-long trends just continued to come up for the 49ers.
Yeah, that happened. The special teams is there was talk during the game on Twitter, and I agreed with a lot of it that said, regardless of the turnout of this game, we have to get a new special teams coach after the season because these problems have been all season. It hasn't been like a little bit here and then, you know, we've gotten better. No, we've gotten like worse. The running into the punter is just inexcusable. You just can't do that. And then, of course, I'm trying to think of the other gaffe that we had. What was the other gaffe? I forgot totally on special teams.
Special teams, we had a big return early on in that one, but that got wiped out by penalty. You didn't have too many glaring issues. It just wasn't pretty.
Yeah, it just all the things that have been kind of popping up all season, like you said, all the little, like, as they would say, blemishes they all kind of happened in the second half of this game. And it was just like, here we go.
Yes.
Like me and you talked about a couple streams ago, I said the Niners are kind of a microcosm. Their season, it's like the final game will be a microcosm of their season, and it was against the Rams. And sure enough, this game was also. It's like you see that they can be dominant, but then you see the self-destructive nature of them. And it's just, that was kind of my biggest takeaway from that game, is it was same. I hate to say this and sound negative. It's the same old Niners from this year, where it's like they take 3 steps forward and 10 steps back within the same like quarter of play. It's just insane, but we still won. So that's all that really matters. Oh yeah. They said Josh Norman on the fake punt. That was the other gaffe.
Right. That was definitely the big gaffe of the game.
No excuse for that at all.
No, it looked as if he was ill prepared for that moment.
But how? I don't understand. Like, how can you be ill prepared on something that's already got us this year?
Yeah,
really?
When Tony Romo is calling it out as it's happening on TV, and fans like myself are shouting that it's a potential for a fake punt in that one, and yet we're ill prepared for it. Even after making the right call, even after leaving the defense out there, substituting for Josh Norman so he's fresh and can be the gunner, but allowing for that mistake. Again, to me, it goes back to these mental lapses, and I wonder if there was any type of a meeting this week between Kyle Shanahan and Richard Hightower that just went over, hey, we really need to be dialed in these moments. You need to pull aside your key core special teamers and let them know exactly what coaching points they should be focused on in any given high-pressure play. Because, yes, it sets up nicely in that there are very few teams worse than the Niners in special teams in the league, and the Packers are one of them. So that sets up nicely, but you just can't have these mistakes. You cannot have the third phase of the game costing you a W in the playoffs. Yeah,
because it will eventually come to bite you in the backside, so to speak. So hopefully that doesn't happen this week, but it's something that I worry about definitely when I'm watching a game. It's like, what mistake are they going to make on special teams? Unfortunately.
It is crazy in that regard. I agree with Ellis 10, one of our sneakerheads here, saying at Rob Schuh, the expectation was there, but the preparation was not there. That's how it came across. That is exactly how it came across. When you called that defensive setup for the fact that you knew the fake punt was coming, but then the player on the field wasn't able to make the play. Speaking of players on the field, just doing a quick injury update for the San Francisco 49ers and the Green Bay Packers. Aaron, who are you most intrigued to see if they're actually out there on Saturday? Certainly for the 49ers, a couple of players were initially up in the air. You had Nick Bosa and Fred Warner were the biggest concerns coming out of that game on Sunday. Fred Warner seems like he's going to be in there. Nick Bosa is clearing the steps needed, but still in that concussion protocol, still has to clear the final steps. And that's, something that could go either way. I think my hope is he's out there, but what are your thoughts on the Niners' health specifically?
Totally agree with you on Bosa, or the two, especially the two of them. But Bosa is so important because if you don't get pressure on Aaron Rodgers, you will lose. You will lose. He doesn't throw picks. He doesn't make mistakes. And to me, Aaron Rodgers, just like any quarterback, you put pressure on him, you get the sacks, you start hitting them. People don't like being hit, especially when it's really cold outside.
Yes.
Aaron Rodgers isn't the biggest guy, so it's not like he can absorb a lot of them. So Nick Bosa is key. I still think they can generate a decent pass rush without him, but it's not the same defense. To me, it's Nick Bosa all the way with the returning players. Fred Warner, of course, I'm happy, but Azeez Al-Shaair and Greenlaw have played well when they've both been in the lineup, so it's less of a worry for me. But Bosa, to me, is 100% the most intriguing player right now to hopefully get on the field for Saturday. I mean, his health is the utmost importance. His dad said it was more of a neck issue than anything. It almost looked like, because you saw the play, like he got bent backwards. He like ran into somebody. So it looked like a hyperextended neck, he ran into this man right there. You don't want to come into contact with DJ Jones.
Captain that is a sauce. Full you don't contact individual.
Yeah. So to me, health above all. If he can't play, he can't play. But if you're going to ask me who the most intriguing player is of all the players that are coming back, it's him for sure.
Yeah, Ellis 10 pointing out that he did travel with the team. That is an update because the Niners wrapped up practice this afternoon and then headed to the airport to fly out. That's obviously a critical step. If he hadn't cleared the protocol or if he had, been held out, you would think they wouldn't travel with him. Yes, agreed with Michael here that it was more of a neck injury, but clearly it was the head that caught him out, that got him out of the game. It was the doctors saying he failed that concussion protocol. It was a bad sign when he ended up going back to the locker room. Very few players make it into that locker room examination and then get back onto the field. Everything seems to be progressing well for Nick Bosa. And I agree that he is the bigger factor of the two, that you have Alshire and Dre Greenlaw really stepping in. And if they had to step up with Marcel Harris backing them up, you would feel more confident. With the rotation at defensive edge already thinned by Jordan Willis, who it looks like will probably be out because he sustained the high ankle sprain. Fred Warner with the lower ankle sprain, that's an easier recovery, similar to the one he had earlier in the year. Looks like he'll be back. But again, it would be easier to replace Fred Warner's production than it would Nick Bosa's in getting after the quarterback, especially being already thinned with Jordan Willis out. On the other side of the ball, it seems that the Packers are the healthiest they have been all season, with the only exception of MVS actually being doubtful for this game, and it looking like Martez Valdez-Scantling may be out. No question about it. So it looks like David Bakhtiari and Preston over there, left tackle, right tackle, could be in. You think we see any rust for the Packers tackles out there?
I really don't want to make any assumptions or guesses because the last time we faced them with their, tattered line, we got pretty much no pressure on Aaron Rodgers. So I hope there's rust, and I hope the Niners can take full advantage of it. But when we were prepping for the first time they played during the year, and everyone was like, "Oh, the Packers got all these guys out, and the Niners are going to eat," and the Niners did nothing in that game.
No.
So hopefully they are rusty, and I hope Nick Bosa plays, and I hope it's a continuation of get another 5-sack game. It seems like that's our magic number every game. The last couple games is 5.
Yes.
So
5 sacks is perfect. If we get 5 sacks on Aaron Rodgers, I will be happy. Tommy Huxley coming in to quote Aaron, "Don't underestimate the pack." That is critical. The 49ers, I don't think they're coming into this one overly confident, though. I believe they have the right mentality. They have the mentality of underdogs. They have the mentality of the more physical team. They have the mentality of a team that has had their backs up against the wall for 3 weeks straight. So my hope is that's how they come in. That's the way in which we see them play. That it's not an overconfident team.
You can't be against probably one of the greatest quarterbacks that's ever played in the game. Aaron Rodgers, I personally don't like him. I think he's kind of a tool, whatever. But when it comes to what he does on the field, kind of like Brady, you can't argue it. And
Nope.
To me, within the Brady conversation, Aaron Rodgers is right in that same kind of conversation. Now, Brady, you can say he's a GOAT, but Aaron Rodgers is no slouch. I fear Aaron Rodgers anytime we play them.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, the guy is pretty electric, right? When he's on, he is on. Ellis 10 saying it's like the Niners grind through each game and the Packers throw daggers. If San Francisco can minimize the daggers and protect the ball, it could be a solid win. Well, let's look at a little bit of how teams have been successful over Green Bay. And this one's a little bit of a mixed bag, right? Looking at the Browns blueprint. The Packers allowed 5.6 yards per rush over their last 3 games. Pretty insane. When you look at the actual game against the Browns, it was ugly. However, let's just call this out before we get into the topic. The Browns lost that game because they turned the ball over repeatedly, just kept gifting the Packers with that ball. But they got 219 rushing yards, 8.8 yards per carry, and still managed to lose the game. To me, this speaks to what the 49ers need to do and what they can't do. They must be able to run effectively on the Packers, and they cannot turn the ball over.
Completely 100%. Two things you can't, or two things, like you said, you turn the ball over against the Packers, Aaron Rodgers will gouge you.
Yes.
And two, the best way to play against a team that has an offense like the Packers is to play keep away. And the Niners are good at that. It's just a matter of can they do it? Because the Browns did it, but the Browns have a bad quarterback. And he couldn't, make the Packers suffer for, they were on the field so much, the Browns, but they couldn't put the Packers away because of the turnovers.
Right.
And that's really the way you beat. I mean, look at Aaron Rodgers. We got the ball, and how many seconds did we leave him in that last game? What, 37,
37.
And it still was too much.
You
You literally have to bleed the clock against Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Play keep away, run the ball, score when you have it, and then rush the passer and try to get after him and cause some turnovers. You go into that game and you don't cause any turnovers, and you play this game where you think you're just going to punt it back and forth to each other. It's not going to happen. They will destroy. This is a game that can get ugly if the Niners don't play the right way. I personally think.
Well, that sets us up for that transition to just what that Niner way is, just the way in which the Niners need to approach this game, the way in which they need to attempt to control this game. In my mind, the Niner way is running the ball, controlling clock, right? It is absolutely a run-first identity team. We are also a team that uses significant motion on offense to confuse defenses. The 49ers are the only team in the league to use motion on more than 70% of their plays. I would say that we are a much more efficient, much more dangerous rushing team than we were in week 3 when you had Trey Sermon out there and Deebo Samuel had yet to evolve into his wide back role.
The Niners offense doesn't really make me worry. I feel like we have enough talent. I think we're pretty loaded actually on offense, with, having Deebo and Ayuk and Kittle and Elijah Mitchell. To me, it's just scoring when you have the ball. I don't think we'll have a problem moving the ball on the Packers. I really don't. I don't think we've had a hard time moving the ball really on anybody this season. To us, it's been the self-inflicted wounds, the timely or the non-timely turnovers that kill drives, penalties that kill momentum. That's kind of what the Niners have been doing this year. They'll look really great in a big stretch, and then all of a sudden something will happen and it'll completely throw them off their game. So with the Packers, it's more or less scoring touchdowns when you have the ball, and because they're going to score. If you think the Packers aren't going to score in this game, you're on something. They're going to score. It's just a matter of can you keep it close enough to where it can come down to something in the end? Because I think the Niners actually, in those kind of games, I have more confidence than I do sometimes when they're ahead. That when they're at the end and they have a chance to do it, everybody seems to up their play, even Jimmy, which, I have my own issues with him, but.
Yes, as do many 49er faithful. Let's be honest about it. I tend to agree in the Niners' approach to defense after they have controlled the clock, after they have established the run, and they continue to possess the ball, rest that defense. I agree with Peter Lee here, coming in saying Niners pass rush needs to physically hit and sack Rodgers. And I will emphasize the needs to physically hit and sack Rodgers, making Rodgers lose his cool and temper early on. I see a completely different quarterback when he gets in his head in that way. When he gets in his sort of moody, sulking mannerisms, completely different quarterback. And the Niners have been able to frustrate him like that significantly in their past meetings.
Completely agree. Aaron Rodgers is the type of person you can get to him if you hit him enough. He pouts. I always tell my brother when we're watching games, I was like, you ever notice how Aaron Rodgers just looks like he hates all of his teammates?
Yes.
When he's playing, like he just has this disdain look like, I'm so damn good, y'all suck. So it ain't my problem. That's the vibe I get from Aaron Rodgers. Hit him and hit him hard. Don't do anything stupid, Arden Key. But hit him, play within the whistle. Just don't play past the whistle. That's or don't land on a guy with all your body weight, Arden Key,
Yeah.
So
No, I mean, hey, I'm not going to bash on Arden Key too much because it is his resurgence that has made this defense what it is. He certainly has had a couple where you'd ask for that back. But if I'm weighing the positive and the negative, I'm giving Arden Key significant credit. Going back to the Packers' run defense, the way it breaks down for me is you have Kenny Clark in the middle there, but then far more susceptible to being gouged on the edges. So I would look for both Debo and Elijah Mitchell to be getting around the edges of the defense. And that's how, quite frankly, that's how some of these explosive plays hopefully will break out for the 49ers. That's how they can get those chunk yards in the run game and really break something loose and cause the Packers some much needed stress on defense.
my favorite way the Niners play is when they can get on the outside and get on the edges.
Yes.
And not just with Elijah Mitchell, but with Debo as well, or even Kittle. It's the best. I love it. It's just beautiful football. I think their offensive line is actually, when it comes to run blocking, they're probably one of the best in the NFL. So, yeah, if that's where their weakness lies on the edges, then you attack the edges as much as you can. And Jimmy is at his best when his reads are a little bit more defined, especially off of play action. It seems like he's more comfortable in that type of setting. Unfortunately, with Jimmy, you gotta kind of set the table for him. He's not kind of a table setter himself. So if you're running really well and it's efficient and you're getting yards and he has more defined reads in the play action game, then it's a smoother offense and it's an offense that can score. So
Yes.
to me, running the ball and running it well, hitting the edges, and taking advantage of a Packers weaknesses, I definitely think it's the way to go for sure. Plus, you grind clock. So
yes, it is. And I've got to disagree with Go Pack Go, who's here in the chat saying that the Packers defense is way better. I'm not sure if you're implying they're better than they were in week 3, which I wouldn't dispute because I don't have the facts to back it up. But if you're talking about relative to the Niners, I don't know what facts you're looking at. That is just not the case. The 49ers defense is significantly better than the Packers defense, and any statistical measure will show that. I'd be interested, though, Go Pack Go. If you want to put any stats in the chat, I'm happy to put them up on the screen. CT Law coming in with the super chat. We had them beat last time. If the defense can control Aaron Rodgers, we win. We have no issue putting up 24 points, but can't give up 30. You agree? I do think 100%. That the defense, has to hold the Packers. It cannot allow them to get 30 plus. That would be a nightmare scenario. To me, if the Packers score 30, that means we're not getting home against Aaron Rodgers. We're not hitting him. We're not flustering him. We're not causing him to be uncomfortable in this one. And that's a recipe for disaster.
To me, the Niners are coming in this game with house money because the Packers are the best team in the NFC. They have the best record. They have home field advantage. The Niners ain't even supposed to be here. Okay. You could say they backed their way into the playoffs, or I can't say backed in. I mean, they won down the stretch, but
yes.
they had to wait till the last game and win it to get in. So
right.
To
they
me,
had a tumultuous season, an up and down season.
Right. So to me, all the pressure's on the Packers. To me, the Niners come into this game, you should be loose, just play like you've been playing all season. 9 times out of 10, you're the better team on the field, talent-wise, across the board, especially on offense. I mean, Debo is a freaking game wrecker. Elijah Mitchell, a 6th-round rookie, is probably one of the best running backs in the National Football League, and he didn't even play a full season. So, to me, the Niners should just go into this game. They have talent. They have great coaching. Just play with house money, man, and let the pressure be on the Packers.
Yes, and it is squarely on the Packers. It's on their defense to prove that they're not going to allow that 4.7 yards per carry that they have allowed this season. And again, going back to the last 3 games, it's even worse. 5.6 yards per rush over the last 3, 4.7 over the length of the season. If the 49ers can run the ball, and on the other side of it, stop the run, make the Packers one-dimensional, this one breaks out to be, to me, a game that tilts in the 49ers' favor in that regard. But we talked about this, and it is critical. The 49ers have to avoid the self-inflicted wounds. To me, This is a matter of being prepared on special teams. You cannot have a special teams gaffe like the Josh Norman gaffe that we had against the Cowboys. I also would prefer Kyle not to overcomplicate things. When you have 4th and a single inch and a quarterback who is perfect on his quarterback sneaks, was the motion effective in causing Dallas's defensive line to shift? Yes, I will give you that. And was it unnecessary complication? That's my belief, is it was an unnecessary layer of complication in a high pressure situation that then allowed for Jimmy Garoppolo to make that mistake. And no question, it was Jimmy Garoppolo's mistake for snapping that ball before allowing Trent Williams to get set. My question is, did it need to be overcomplicated? Did you have to add that extra wrinkle? I think in this one, in the cold, to me, you keep it simple. You keep it vanilla. You have advantages over this Packers team. Use them.
Yeah. I mean, really, it comes down to doing what you do best and not overcomplicate it, you know?
Yeah.
My biggest issue I have with Kyle sometimes is when like you said, he overcomplicates things, or you see plays that have a lot of way too many wrinkles to it. And it's just like, dude, throw all that trash out. Come at me, which are like your 10 to 15 best plays in this game, which are mostly running. And then getting Jimmy on the move. I noticed when they were scripting plays early on against Dallas, Jimmy looks more comfortable when you get him out of the pocket and you give him like defined reads. I don't know what the Niners' problem is when they get into games after they run their script, why they don't continue doing that, because he looks way more comfortable. I mean, it's just, to me, do what you do best, trash all the other stuff, no trick plays, none of that stuff. Just run your offense that you run, that you've been doing well with all season, and force the Packers to stop you. Packers are not the greatest against the run. Well, then you run it down their throat the whole game. Okay. Take the ball out of Jimmy's hand as much as possible. No offense, but part of our self-inflicted wounds is Jimmy.
Yeah.
He tends to make that
taken.
crucial pick when you're just like, why throw it? Why?
Right.
You know, like, take the check down, throw it out of bounds. Why? You know, it's frustrating. Or missing that wheel route consistently all the time. So frustrating to watch.
Yes.
Again, watching with my brother, and he's just like, wow, dude was wide open. And then they were trying to say, well, it was Ayuk, he flattened his route out. And I'm just like, dude, stop. We know who we know who made the mistake on this play. Cut it out. So yeah, play your game, play what you do best, get rid of all the other stuff, and then let the cards fall where they may at the end.
Yeah, I think in simplifying it, you can allow Jimmy to get comfortable and keep him there, because as Kyle gets tense down the stretch, I believe that tends to trickle down into his quarterback, and that discomfort causes some very strange choices by Jimmy Garoppolo in what throw he's going to make. Some of those mistakes. Continue to control the clock, milk the game away, and that's through the run game. That is keeping that going. Luke Luna coming in to show some love for these two dudes. Appreciate you, Luke. Luke made it on the call-in show that we had earlier.
Nice.
I thought that was fantastic.
I got
to see his tattoo shop that he was inking people up in. 49 Glory coming in. The Packers defense is soft with a unique spelling. They've been feasting on the week. Barely beat a Lamar Jackson-less Baltimore. Niners gonna run wild. I do think that this 49ers team, the way in which they beat the Packers is physicality. It's physicality on both sides of the ball. It is running against the pack. It is running down their throats and then stopping the run on the other side and absolutely beating and battering Aaron Rodgers. That to me is the biggest recipe for success.
Yeah, the Niners are at their best when they play bully ball. You know, the whole talk with Dallas was that they were going to bully the bully. It didn't happen. I saw a quote somewhere or an article where it said the Niners came out playing so loose in Dallas. You know, guys are dancing in the tunnel before the game and everything.
Right.
And Dallas was like shell shocked. Everybody was like super tense looking. The Niners just, like you said, man, when they play their best is when they play bully ball, man. Running that football, you know, looking for contact. Dudes don't want to tackle Debo. People don't want to tackle Elijah Mitchell. People don't want to tackle Kittle. People don't even want to tackle Juwan Jennings if he gets the ball. So to me, play bully ball, man. And it's cold outside. Nobody wants to hit when it's, minus 10 degrees outside. I know I wouldn't.
No.
People make business decisions. So, if you play that kind of game, you start. To me, it's more our defense that I worry about. It's not necessarily our offense. It's
interesting
because it's Aaron Rodgers. I feel like if we just stayed and stick to our game plan and stick to the way we play, I don't think we'll have problems scoring in this game. It's more or less, what do we do when the Packers have the ball? And how many times can we force 3 and outs and things like that? And to me, it's just, we have the ball, score as much as you can, and, try to get some stops, important stops.
Yeah, it's interesting because for me, it's the opposite. I'm confident in our defense and their ability. To me, it's ensuring that the offense doesn't have that quarter where it stalls out. Because to me, it's the ripple effect of what that does to the defense, how that tires them out. If we get into that complementary ball, that's where I feel very confident. And I believe it starts with the D. Offense just has to carry their weight as well. CT Law coming in. Why does Kyle retreat? 4th and 1 at the Dallas 20 with weapons like Debo. I would have gone for it. They won, but need to be more aggressive. Aaron Rodgers can score. So that happened early on. I can't recall whether that was the second or third drive, right? They got a touchdown and then 3 field goals. I think it was the third drive in the game where it was 4th and 1, and the Niners could have gone for it on that one, but opted for the field goal. And, you look back with the score and the way it ended up, it's hard to second guess it. It's hard to say that you don't take those 3 points there, because what if you fail? But I get what CT Law is saying here, is it's that aggression that would have allowed the 49ers to potentially put this one away. And I do think that's an interesting point when you consider the Green Bay Packers, because while the Dallas Cowboys were far and away the number 1 offense in the league, in the playoffs, I know we've had our luck against him. I'm with you that Aaron Rodgers has me a little nervous in that regard. So I do think that in this one, if you have 4th and 1 at the 20, Packers territory, I think you got to go for it. I think you got to go for the touchdown, because field goals aren't going to cut it.
Completely agree. You have to play as aggressive as you can against the Packers. And it's not that I don't have faith in the defense. It's just Aaron Rodgers he's that damn good. It's not that I don't think the Niners are good enough to stop the Packers. It's just, these quarterbacks that are elite like Aaron Rodgers or Brady, they don't come around very often. And when they do, it's like they're so special. And the best way to beat a team like that, like in the Super Bowl, my biggest issue was the Niners not scoring when they had the ball, when they had opportunities, because certain teams, regardless of how good your defense is, they're gonna get theirs. And that's kind of what I'm kind of thinking about with the Packers. They're gonna get theirs. It's just how much you can limit theirs. And on your side, like you said, if it's a 4th and 1 or 4th and inches, you got to go for it, man. 3 points ain't going to cut it against a team like this.
Nope.
Aaron Rodgers can put up 7 from any point on the field. So I play as aggressive as you can be within the the confines of the game. I mean, you're not going to go for like a 4th and 4.
Right. Really it's got to be a clear and obvious point where you want to be aggressive, not being foolish, but being aggressive.
Agreed.
Edgar coming in here. Bang, bang, Niner gang from Federal Way, Washington, up here in the Pacific Northwest. What's up, Edgar? Saying, let's go. I appreciate that, Edgar. And you are fairly close by to my local radio station here in Portland, Oregon. Well, let's use that to transition into how the 49ers potentially do look to slow down Aaron Rodgers. If you had to guess at what the defensive game plan would be here, what are you laying out? If you're D'Amico Ryan, what are you instructing your team? I always make it singular. D'Amico Ryans, Mike McDaniel. I always get those transverse. Which one is singular and which one is plural with the S at the end there? But D'Amico Ryans, if I'm putting you in his shoes, what are you looking to do here?
You stop the run, make Aaron Rodgers beat you, which sounds stupid, right?
Right.
But if they're going to pass at certain points in the game because the run just ain't working, you can kind of pin your ears back and, get aggressive. I wouldn't say blitz, but, do different things with your pass rush. I wouldn't just rush 4 all the time. I would, stunt, whatever you got to do, drop people, zone blitz, whatever it takes. But if you shut down the run early, and like you said, Aaron Rodgers gets frustrated. Aaron Rodgers gets pouty and bratty
Yes.
when they're getting hit and things aren't working. So why not kind of dictate that kind of game? The best way to do that is to shut down the run early. If the Niners can get up a couple scores or at least score to keep pace, eventually they're gonna try to get away from the run because they don't want to run the football. They want to throw it. That's what Aaron Rodgers does best. Aaron Rodgers has what they call carte blanche over that offense. So if he wants to throw the football, they're going to throw the football. So shut the run down, force Aaron Rodgers to beat you, and do your best to try to get home as much as possible.
I think Walter Banner here says what you're saying very well in a different set of words. Aaron Rodgers is good, but you never win respecting someone too much. That you do have to test him. You do have to come after him. And I would view it as very critical that the Niners make the Packers one-dimensional. And their ability to do that with their base defense is one of the advantages that I would work out for them on defense, and why I'm not quite as nervous. Because you would look for the Packers to, on obvious early downs where the Niners are attempting to stop the run, you would look for them to pass on those downs, right? To take advantage of the base defense being out there for the San Francisco 49ers. The difference is the base defense for the Niners is a dual threat defense with DJ Jones, my man, every chance I get, I throw that up. DJ Jones and Eric Armstead in the middle. They have the ability to stop the run on the way to the pass. They have the ability to get after the quarterback if on those early downs when Green Bay does try to take advantage of the base defense being out there. If we can get a couple of critical sacks on those early downs, that to me is going to bode well for the San Francisco 49ers. Both shutting down the pass and getting to Aaron Rodgers on some of those early downs. That would set up for the 3rd and longs and get some pressure on him because he is a different dude when he's facing pressure.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, getting them into 3rd and long will be key. 3rd and short is so easy with a guy like him, but if you can get them into 3rd and long, get him into a predictable passing situation, I think it bodes well for us. The only thing I'm a little worried is the Niners defense, even in some 3rd and long situations this year, have given up some first downs that have just absolutely make me want to punch my television. So, get them into those 3rd and long situations, but then, do the job, get the hit, get the pressure, make the throw be quick and inaccurate. I feel like any offense, if you get them into 3rd and long all the time is going to have some problems. So it's no different. Like he said, don't over-respect Aaron Rodgers. You have to be aggressive against them. You cannot sit back in a shell on defense and not rush the passer.
No. Joseph Reyes, though, does ask the interesting question, are you worried just rushing 4, or will you blitz more on Rodgers? To me, the advantage of the 49ers defense is the ability to get pressure with 4, because that's what you want. In an ideal scenario, you're getting pressure with 4 and allowing everyone to be back in coverage against Aaron Rodgers. And the way in which you do that is creative stunts and motion along that defensive line, and then just having elite pass rushers for the 49ers. But I don't think that will be enough. I do think you will have to have some well-timed blitzes, and you just have to be very careful about when those are delivered, because he will make you pay. But he also struggles underneath that pressure. Some of the stats that I came across in this one, when he was, allowed time, he was phenomenal this year. 34 touchdown passes, 2 picks on those dropbacks where he had time, 75% completion rate, league leading 122.6 passer rating, all of those stats when he was, quote, well protected. When defenses generated pressure on Aaron Rodgers, his completion percentage dropped from 75% to 36%. His QBR dropped from 122 down to 53. And that 69-point difference is the biggest decline of any passer out there. So to me, that is the critical component, is getting that pressure. And hopefully Nick Bosa is out there and you can do it with 4.
Yeah. You have to do it with 4 as much as you can to leave as many guys in coverage as possible. But like someone in the comments says, mix your blitzes here and there. Don't be completely, not, avoid of blitzing. It's just a matter of when you do it and making sure when you do it, it's at the right time. Don't blow your load on something and then completely miss it. My biggest issue sometimes when teams blitz is when they don't get home and then they expose themselves on the back end to either, man-to-man coverage, which in our case doesn't always fare and better for us. It actually fares better for Green Bay because they have one of the best receivers in the NFL, if not the best receiver in the NFL, in Devontae Adams. So, time your blitzes, try to play, four down and cover with the rest. But it's and someone in the chat said, and then play keep away. It's The Niners have a recipe. It's just can they do it? They have all the components to do it. It's just a matter of can they.
Can they? Exactly. I'm with Tommy Huxley here calling out D'Amico is a G. That cover 0 was ballsy and dope, and it got home. That was the critical component of it. It got home in time to get Dak off of his throwing lane and throw that, wildly inaccurate pass because Jimmy Ward was there in his face. And it was set up earlier by showing 0 blitz, not blitzing, and seeing that Dallas didn't have the response and then calling it again. It was just next level by D'Amico Ryans. That's where he needs to be, in his bag, in his comfort zone, dialing up those blitzes where he's confident they're going to get home. Chris Royal with the super chat. Pressure from our front four, an occasional blitz, and a significant amount of success from our run game to drain as much clock as possible. I know we just keep repeating it, but this is the recipe for success. This is what the 49ers need to do to hold the Packers in check.
Completely agree. You don't want your defense tired going against Aaron Rodgers, so best way to keep your defense not tired is to run the ball, run it well, and try to get some scores off those drives. And if you could do that, it's a recipe that I think when the Niners have won in the past, that's kind of what the recipe has been, is pretty much play keep away from the other team's offense. That's their recipe.
And the folks in the chat really get it. NYCE1030 at Rob Schuh. D'Amico has to disguise the play call. Last game, I believe they're referring to week 3. They never switch their coverage after the snap. They must be able to throw different coverages before and after the snap to keep Aaron Rodgers guessing. Yep. Raphael following that up, saying there's nothing we can throw at Rodgers that he hasn't seen. Yep. You just got to mix it up and get him off his spot. That's the keys. You're attempting to confuse while knowing that you're not going to confuse, but it is that layered defense that you have to throw up against Rodgers in an attempt to slow him down. You're not going to completely eliminate him, right? Even if you're up 21 in the second half, we're still going to be nervous that he's got the capability to come back, but you got to throw everything and the kitchen sink at him.
Yeah, just like Aaron or just like Tom Brady, you're not going to confuse guys that have been in the league that long. It's just a matter, like you said, no quarterback likes to get hit. So getting a guy off his spot and hitting him constantly whenever you get a chance within the rules, eventually people are going to, I wouldn't say fold under pressure, but they're going to be affected. So Niners have to get to Rodgers, and when they get to Rodgers, they need to hit Rodgers and knock him down a lot.
Absolutely. Hit him. That is the key. Chris Royal back in. Keep Rodgers on the sideline, and most importantly, don't waste the drive getting field goals. Got to get those touchdowns. Have to agree that the Niners are number 1 in the league in red zone efficiency, and the Packers are near the bottom in defending the red zone. So that sets up to be a strength for the 49ers. They've got to take advantage of that.
Completely agree. You got to get your ball to your playmakers. Heck, you got to get your ball to Juwan Jennings. He seems to be a matchup nightmare, especially around the goal line. So do what you've been doing all year. It seems you're working. Like you said, you got to score touchdowns. You can't score field goals against Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, you called it. Juwan Jennings, man. That guy is a first down, touchdown machine. I think it's 24 of his 27 catches are either a first down or a touchdown. That's a great red zone threat that you could see the 49ers going to.
Definitely.
Pete coming in saying, Rob, glad I found your channel. I have the Niners winning 31-28 in overtime. The D-line will make Aaron uncomfortable in the pocket. Have a safe trip. Thank you, Pete. I appreciate that. There's a part of me that's like, oh man, overtime in the playoffs, bring it on. And then there's a part of me that thinks it's going to be cold as all get out, single digits. I would rather this thing end in regulation. Let's just have the Niners win it outright. But hey, if that prediction comes true, I will be ecstatic. And I won't care if I lose a toe in the mayhem. That's the cost of doing business. Ronnie Lott cut off one of his digits. I can cut off a toe.
Who needs a fingertip? Like,
who needs
get yourself
it?
a championship out of it.
Yes, indeed. All right, GD5 at Rob. I've been trying to find this stat, but it seems like the team that scores first, especially a touchdown, tends to win around 70% of the time in the playoffs. Thoughts? I don't know that if that statistic is close to accurate. It would seem that would be the case. But I agree that in this one, for the 49ers, it is critical because you're coming up against a team that is rested, that is getting healthy. And so what you want to try and take advantage of is that rust. You want them to be slow starting. You want them to just have gotten off of the couch, and now they're in the playoffs. They're not taking it super seriously. The Niners have had their backs against the wall for weeks. Come out, punch them in the mouth, and cause them to rethink their own strategy. But if you allow them into it, if you give them that advantage of jumping out in front first and the Packers get that first touchdown, I do think it changes the game. So this should be a priority for the San Francisco 49ers to come out quickly and jump all over Green Bay.
Definitely. And you get the crowd out of the game if you score first, too, and you score early.
Hopefully it'll be muffled because everybody will be wearing the stuff over their faces and scarves and whatnot. That's my hope, that it'll be muffled. But
it's going to be really, really... I fear, like with any crowd, letting them get into it. And the best way to keep them out of it, hold the ball a long time. People, like you said, people don't want to cheer if they got to stand there for a really long time. So if the Niners can have one of their 7-8 minute drives where they score, that's a good way to keep the crowd out of the game.
Yes, it is. Jamie Allen coming in can't understand why Jeff Wilson doesn't get at least 3 to 4 carries a game. We need to keep Mitchell healthy. I tend to agree with that in that you don't want, Mitchell to get worn down. I agreed with that more, though, in the regular season. Now it's the playoffs. Now I think you've got to go with the hot hand. You've got to run whomever is most successful, even if it runs them into the ground, right? I mean, you can't worry about overusage of Debo. You can't worry about overusage of Mitchell because of that fact that it is win or go home at this point. So I get the sentiment here, and I agree with it, and I was on board with that in regular season. I've now shifted my mindset in the playoffs. Do whatever you got to do to win this one, right? If we come out of this and Jimmy's arm is hanging off by a thread, then that was the cost of doing business. That was the cost of getting the win. I think that's the case with Mitchell, that I'm okay if he has 30 carries in this one, as long as we get the W.
Yeah, once you get to the playoffs, you got to throw everything out the window as far as playing time and who you think should play. It's whoever gives you the best chance to win. And if that's Elijah Mitchell with 40 carries, so be it. If that's Jimmy with a dud shoulder and a dud hand, whatever, don't care, because it's all about winning. You can rest in the off season. It's not time to rest.
Yes. And this one, I had seen it before. I wanted to bring it in, but this is good timing for it because you just spoke to that. One bad Hawkeye coming in at Rob. I seriously think Trey is the best option as quarterback and or running back. I mean, the running back is one that, would be an odd change for the 49ers to do that. But I think there are many faithful out there who are questioning, well, it's, Jimmy, he's less than 100%. He already had the thumb hanging on by a thread. Now his shoulder's bad as well. At what point is a healthier Trey Lance going to be the correct answer instead of Jimmy Garoppolo? And to me, Kyle Shanahan has been very clear on this, that if Jimmy is good to go, and good to go does not mean 100%, it just means he can get out there and complete the throws that Kyle believes he needs to be able to complete in order to keep this offense going. I think as we are now in the playoffs, Kyle is gripping even tighter to his veteran quarterback and reliant upon his mastery of the offense, even with his very significant inconsistencies. It is his understanding of the offense that I believe Kyle Shanahan is leaning on most heavily at this point in the playoffs.
Completely agree 100% on all that. Can't say it better myself.
I would say, though, that I'm okay if you work in Trey for some plays that I've been calling for weeks, and I still do think that you could, in fact, work that in to stress the defense. If you are, and I've said this so many times that I apologize for the redundancy to the listeners, but if you're in between the 40s and it's second and short, I will never get past how much it would stress the defense on, let's say, 2nd and 3. You bring in Trey Lance, you roll him out to the wide side of the field on play action, under center, play action, roll out to the wide side of the field. His reads are now cut in half. He has the option to use his legs if that's what's open, or he takes the deep shot, or he throws it away, right? The coaching there is just don't turn the ball over, because 2nd and 3, worst case scenario, as long as he doesn't turn the ball over, it becomes 3rd and 3. Boom, you throw Jimmy back in and no harm, no foul. You're not off schedule. And I think that's what Shanahan worries about is disrupting the rhythm of the offense. But I go through all that to say, as much as I want to see it, I don't think it's out there. I don't think Shanahan pulls that rabbit out of the hat.
Unless Jimmy cannot physically go in this game, I just don't think you're going to see Trey Lance. You haven't seen it all year. I think there's even less chance you see it in the playoffs.
Well said, Aaron. All right. One of the other factors coming into this one that I'm going to be battling against sitting in the stands, I've been told to bring some cardboard or, a little bit of styrofoam to put underneath your feet so that your boots are not on the cold concrete. Apparently you can rent seat cushions so that your tuchus isn't on the aluminum benches that are there in Lambeau Field. But it is going to be cold. I'm going to be miserable, and the Niners are going to be cold. They're practicing in, frigid, like 60-degree weather in Santa Clara before flying out there. And the Packers are certainly used to it. Do you think that this one factors in, or do you believe the Niners are going to be hyped up enough that it's not going to matter?
I really don't think it's going to matter. It never seems to matter. I mean, it does, depending if you're just never playing the cold, but I feel like a lot of these guys have played in cold weather before. I mean, Jimmy is from Chicago, so he's played in the cold. And Kittle, it doesn't really matter. Kittle can play in anything. Debo, I'm not worried either. I think it matters more on defense with hitting or not wanting to be hit. But the actual cold, once you get moving and you're sweating and you're hot from being physical, it tends to be less of a factor. I mean, people will be cold. I mean, people are not going to shy away from the heaters on the sideline, but
right.
It never seems to be an issue, at least with the Niners in recent years, even back as far as the Harbaugh regime, but we'll see. We'll see. You say it could be the Niners. Who knows? It could be the Packers that are the ones that are suffering from it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I got some interesting advice from Stephen Smith saying I should probably rub a little whale blubber all over your body. I think I'll pass on that Wisconsin remedy for the cold. But I would say I agree with you on this, Aaron. I do not think this becomes a factor unless or until one of these teams is out of it. That's not what I'm predicting. I think this one is close. I think it's a nail biter coming down to the wire. But if one of these teams gets up big on the other, that's where I think you start to see the business decisions of, do I want to tackle Debo Samuel? Do I want to tackle A.J. Dillon, right? Some of these harder hitting guys out there, will people begin to save their bodies? Because that pain in that cold has got to be something else. I know just from stubbing my toe in the cold or banging my finger in it just, your nerve endings just send this very loud signal when you feel that pain in the cold. And I do agree with Budmaster here. Another thing it will impact field goal attempts. Both the Niners and the Packers will shy away from long field goal attempts as this thing dips down towards 0. But again, unless it's a blowout, I don't think it comes in to be a factor. It just becomes a part of the lore of this game, the attraction of it, of selling it on TV for the NFL. All right, let's talk postseason here in this topic. We're going to flash forward. The Niners have, won it all, let's say, or they haven't, whatever the outcome is. What does Jimmy's value look like in this one? To me, my stance is it hasn't changed a great deal. I think most talent evaluators had a pretty good idea of who Jimmy Garoppolo is and who Jimmy Garoppolo isn't, and that his inconsistencies and ability to deliver in big moments are all wrapped up in what he is, in his identity, and that front offices understand that and would still appreciate him for what value he does bring, even with the mistakes. So it was always my assertion that he was worth a second, and I was saying a fourth, something second and a sweetener. I like it as a second and a fourth. Even if they continue to progress and Jimmy continues to win for the 49ers, I'm not sure I see it bumping up to a first rounder. But how have you seen it? Do you believe it's changed? And where does it stand now, Aaron?
I've been seeing a lot from Peter King. He's been kind of banging the drum, so I don't know if he's got sources from somewhere or somebody's feeding him some information. And I mean, I trust Peter King. He's been in the game a long time.
Yeah, he's a very reliable source.
Right. And he's been saying a first rounder, possibly. Don't be surprised. I could see maybe a conditional second that could be a first. It's weird because you say nobody's is willing to pay for it, and then you see a guy like Jared Goff go for a first round pick, who I think Jimmy's better than Jared Goff personally. Not by much, but well, maybe he is by a lot. I'll give it. He's definitely better than Jimmy, or better than Jared Goff. But he went for a first and some other pick. I don't remember, but I don't know. We're going into a draft where the quarterback class is pretty weak, and a team might need a holdover for a year. And the Niners have a holdover that they can have, but it's going to be a conditional second, maybe first round late pick or something. I don't know. Who knows? Somebody might be willing to pay the price. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm thinking more along the lines of a second and maybe another conditional late rounder, which I'd be okay with too, because the Niners can take 2 second rounders and trade back into the first,
right?
Get a player. So I don't know. It's hard to say. I feel like the way that the Niners have been bumping up Jimmy this year and kind of staying with him no matter what, and always having like an injury out every time he plays bad, which, not saying that he's not injured, but it always seems to be like, oh, Jimmy struggled because ... So I feel like the Niners have kind of protected him this year and tried to keep his value as high as they can. And he's played well down the stretch. So hell, if the Niners can get a first rounder for him, freaking awesome. If they can get a second in a conditional, which I think is more along the lines like you said, that's fine too. The Niners need picks. They need to replenish certain areas of their team. They're not going to have a ton of cap space even after Jimmy, because they're going to probably need to pay Debo. They're probably eventually going to need to pay Nick Bosa. So the draft is kind of how you can get guys on the cheap. I mean, look at they're not going to have to pay Elijah Mitchell for a minute, and by the time that it's time for them to pay him, they probably will just move on and get another running back because he's a 6th round. I mean, they could probably pay him, but why pay him when you can just draft another one? So the draft has its value, especially for a team that's in a window, who needs to pay their top stars. So hopefully it is a first rounder, but I'm thinking more along the lines of what you're saying. As much as I respect Peter King, but who knows? Maybe we're both wrong.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if it wasn't a second rounder. If it is a first, I think that validates the 49ers strategy this year, right? That would be recouping some of that draft capital that they gave up for Trey. They would be boasting that as a win. I still see, and I was thrilled to see it come out from somebody, I still see Pittsburgh as a likely landing spot, and I now have seen some national reporting that confirms that could be one of the destinations as well. Stephen Fox coming in at the left shoe. If Jimmy G wins the Super Bowl with the Niners this year, do you think Niners get a first-round pick for him? I don't know that it changes the value, but I guess with a Super Bowl, it has to. I mean, if you're a Super Bowl winning quarterback, I'll say this. If the Niners win the Super Bowl and it's because of Jimmy Garoppolo delivers on the highest stage, then yes. Yes, at that point, it's a first rounder, maybe a first rounder plus, because that will be the, answering the bell of like, well, Jimmy couldn't do this. Oh, well, here, he did. I don't think that's a likely outcome. I would guess that you're probably looking at, even if the Niners did win the Super Bowl, that it's probably a run first type of a game plan. And so I would still put Jimmy in about that same level.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to improve it one way or the other, because I just don't think he's that kind of player. I think he works well within an offense that has a strong running game. So Yeah, I think if the Niners are to win the Super Bowl, it might be more of strong running game and great defense that'll kind of deliver them, which honestly, Rob, I don't care what the reasons for. I just want them to win it.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Gammon Brown coming in at Rob. The Lord saw it fit to bless you with a pant-dropping voice. 49ers first takes. I close my eyes and hear Kermit the Frog's cousin. I don't know. That's
Yeah, baby.
very educational. Well, we are very
Kermit the Frog's
educational. And as long
cousin.
as that is not an insult aimed at my friend Aaron here, then I'm good with it. But yes, I am grateful. The Lord took away my hair and gave me a voice. So that's what I get.
Yeah, the Lord gave me height and hair, but he gave me a froggy voice. So you can't win all your battles, okay?
That's right. You win some, you lose some, people. Tommy Huxley coming in to take a shot. Karen Rodgers will fumble this game. I hope that's the case because that means we are getting home against Aaron Rodgers. And again, I do think that that is critical for the 49ers to hit Aaron Rodgers over and over and over again.
We got to be like Bully McGuire when he says, "What's the matter? Gonna cry?"
Yes, we need Aaron Rodgers to cry in this one. Luke Luna at Rob Schuh, a conditional second rounder that if he plays 75% of the season changes to a first rounder. He's worth that to give him a try at least to be a placeholder, win or lose this game. I would agree. If regardless of outcome, win or lose, that yes, it would be worth it if he can play, if he can stay healthy, to be a second rounder conditional first based on that playing time. Well, let's keep it on Jimmy G in one of our last topics here and ask that question. Does this game hinge on Jimmy Garoppolo? Does it hinge on his ability to play a clean game?
I think it does. We saw what happened in Dallas when he inexplicably was wildly inaccurate. He had a couple throws in that game that were tipped up but not intercepted. So, as much as I want to bang on Jimmy for making mistakes, he has been clutch at times during this season to make me kind of understand why the Niners stay with him. But the quarterback is the leader of the offense, and he's the bus driver. And I feel like there's going to be times in this game where you need the quarterback to make plays and deliver a good throw on third and whatever with the pressure in his face. And unfortunately, and really frustratingly, Jimmy tends to always give at least one turnover a game that is just an inexplicable throw, or he misses on a throw that is wide open. And it's just, people are like, well, that's kind of part of the package. Yeah, that's great and everything, but in a game like this, going against the guy you're going against in the conditions and what the game means, yeah, I think it does hinge on Jimmy. You can't protect this. You can't protect Jimmy all the time in this game. I mean, what if the Packers defense comes out and stops the run? Then it's going to be on Jimmy. So, yeah, Jimmy needs to play his best game this year, Saturday.
I agree with that statement, and I will only tweak it slightly to say that I believe Jimmy's confidence, Jimmy's ability to play well in this one hinges on Kyle Shanahan.
True.
So I believe this game actually hinges on the coach. I believe that Kyle has got to be confident in this one. He has got to be in his bag, dialing up those run plays that allow for Jimmy to simply convert the shorter third downs, that allow for a game plan that sets Jimmy up for success and puts the 49ers in a position to be successful where they're not at the end of the game feeling like this one is slipping away. Because what I have seen over the course of this season and throughout Kyle Shanahan's tenure is when he tightens up, this team tightens up. When you see him on the sideline, clearly physically stressed by whatever's happening in the game, which is oftentimes a lead that the Niners are managing to salt away somehow, you can sense his body language. You can sense how tense he's becoming. And I believe that reflects in Jimmy Garoppolo's play. Now, I'm not absolving Jimmy Garoppolo from his mistake-prone play. That is absolutely a part of who he is. Even when things are going well, he will throw some of those interceptions that you talked about where you're just sort of scratching your head. but it seems to get worse. And those turnovers come in bunches when you see Kyle Shanahan uncomfortable, not calling the confident plays that he is when he's just rolling, because he's a rhythm play caller. So for me, the critical component is Kyle Shanahan has to get in and stay in a rhythm calling the offensive plays.
Yeah, it's definitely palpable with the coach when he's not confident or he's less than sure. They totally play different. When like they came out against Dallas that first drive, dude, they look like world beaters. Like nothing, everything was a good play. So I don't know how you stay in that zone play calling wise and Jimmy, but figure it out, find a way to do it and try to stay on it as much as possible. Are you going to be perfect? No. Is this team going to be perfect during this game? No. Packers are paid to do this too, but Niners are capable. I think the Niners are capable of taking this game on the road. It's just a matter of, like eliminating mistakes and capitalizing on opportunities. You do those two things in a game like this, 9 times out of 10, you win. If you come in and you kick the ball around and fumble and have just stupid penalties and any other mistakes that the Niners have made this year where they turn to that team, they're going to lose.
I tend to agree with that. They have to stay away from those penalties, mistakes, shooting themselves in the foot. This season, when they've avoided those, they have clearly been the better team throughout. And that's what they should be against the Packers as well. They set up to be the better team. They set up to be the more physical team. They just have to execute. Luke Luna saying it well. Green Bay defense is not one that says we stop the run consistently, and we will be doing just that, running consistently. Yes, the Green Bay Packers defense is susceptible to the run, and that's the way in which this sets up. All right, let's close out on one last positive topic. You know me, if there's going to be one last topic, it's going to be about this man here, DJ Jones. Let's get on to that last topic. This was a great article that came out today from The Athletic. It is behind a paywall, so I get if folks don't subscribe to it. But Marcus Thompson II put out this article. I'm just going to read a couple of quotes that came out of it that really struck me. DJ Jones talked about how his mindset changed, and it changed when he was in the hotel room in Arizona last year after leaving another season with a late injury in the end of the season, unable to finish out the year. He played 14 games last year, had a good statistical season, but then again had to overcome going into free agency with the injury and only got the 1-year deal coming back. Great quotes. First one was, obstacles only arrive when you take your eyes off the goal. I mean, he is single-minded. He is absolutely pursuing this end goal for him of playing the entirety of the season, being around in December and January football and making a difference. And he has been that difference to me in the 49ers being able to stop the run. Credit to Eric Armstead. DJ Jones has given credit to Eric Armstead. But to me, DJ Jones is the one that I'm most fascinated with because he's the 315-pound dude that at times moves like a middle linebacker.
He's a game wrecker when he's playing well. He really is. The fact that he can get sacks on a guy like Dak Prescott, I think it was him, right? He got that sack on Dak during the game, was it?
Yes,
right?
Yes, he did.
That was impressive. For a man that large to move around that easily is an impressive feat. And he's really dominant in the run game too. He's just a really good player all around. Like you said, he's had an issue with the health. Like you said, when you're that big, and I talked to my brother about this and he agrees, when you're a really large person, your joints, your feet, your hands, they take abuse because the rest of you is so large. So with a guy like that, if he gets going in the wrong direction with like his ankle or his knee, it's not going to end well. So, but he's so damn good and he's so likable too. Like I would totally be friends with him in real life because he seems like a big fun-loving guy. And the fact that he gets barbecue sauce after him, and I'm a big barbecue guy, that's even better. So Why not be a fan of freaking DJ Jones?
The stories about he and his family are great. Folks should read those backdrops. A couple more quotes from the article. This is in relation to the King David story from the Bible, in which he has drawn inspiration. He says, I'm not trying to be King David, but I just, for some reason, that connected with me. When I'm on the field, I feel like I'm a king and I can't be stopped. And whatever I want, I got to go get it. He kept his faith. He kept his faith. I want to walk and talk the same way. It just is inspirational. And in particular, when you think of that defensive line room, Coach Chris Kosaric and the love that he coaches those guys with, but the ferocious nature of it, the last part of it really hit me. And he was talking about being able to be that nice guy you talked about in real life, where you'd want to sit down and have barbecue with him, and then being a monster on the field. He says, you got to know how to flip that switch. When I walk into them lines, I'm a different dude. I tell my wife that all the time. She thinks I'm a teddy bear. She ain't never seen me in them trenches, and she don't want to see that. And that's why it's a switch. You've got to flip the switch. When I go home, I am a teddy bear. I love my family. I love my nieces and nephews. But you've got to be able to just switch. I think a lot of people on this team have that. I think that's true. I look at players like Kittle, Jeff Wilson Jr. I look at Debo, the mindset he had to call his shot with Kyle Shanahan. I look at Trent Williams. I look at Eric Armstead. I look at DJ Jones. I look at Nick Bosa. These are dudes that can flip the switch and can wreck games in and of themselves.
You see a guy like Bosa in press conferences. I read some comments from people who are not 49er fans saying he sounds like a gasser or a pothead or something, or he sounds slow. And I'm thinking, you know what? Whatever. When he's on the field, ain't nobody want to be part of that. He's taking offensive tackles that are twice his size and putting them on their ass with regularity. So yeah, some people just have the ability, like Jeff Wilson Jr. says, he goes to that dark place. Yes. I'm the type of person, as a person is in real life, I'm actually a pretty nice dude. But when I'm focused on something, I can be really prickly. And that's just how my nature is. I have to be completely immersed. And that's how some people play football. They're one person out when they're talking to the media, and when they're on the field, they're a killer. That's how Michael Jordan was kind of a jerk off the court too, but when he was on the court, he was a killer. And that's the mentality you have to have in sports. And if you don't have that mentality, a lot of times you don't win. So I'm all for it.
Amen to that. Well, that brings us to the end of this one. Hey, I always say this, but if you enjoy the content, please do consider liking the video on your way out. Aaron runs a show over there at 49ers First Takes. His information is down below in the description. Go over there, follow him on Twitter, subscribe to him on YouTube. Consider subscribing to both channels, because we are two dudes that love talking about 49ers, and we have constant Niners content coming out. We will keep you informed. Aaron, it is always a pleasure having you on here, my friend. I'm very excited to travel out to Green Bay tomorrow. I'm glad that there will be a lot of content sitting on the channel for people to watch.
Definitely. And I just want to say this to you. Have a safe trip. Hopefully it's a successful one. Anytime there's an airplane involved in traveling, I'm always nervous. So, and I'm sure the chat feels the same way. I can't wait. I hope to see some, videos of you in the stands with your face bright red from frostbite, and the Niners winning the game. So mazel tov to you. I hope you have a safe and productive trip.
I appreciate that, Aaron. Yes, there will be lots of photos of me freezing my tuchus off. That's for sure. Maybe just a few photos, because it may be too cold to take my freaking gloves off to actually hit the phone and take those photos. But I'll get the videos. I'll get everything out there. I will keep people posted. I'll be streaming from Green Bay. No problem. Definitely going to be there in the hotel room, streaming from the hotel room where it's nice and warm. But I look forward to it, and I appreciate the well wishes, Aaron. And I will see all of you guys from Green Bay, and then when we're back here breaking it down, I'm sure Aaron and I will be back sometime next week on one of our channels. Follow us on Twitter to find out where that will be. Until then, cheers, 49er faithful. Cheers, Aaron. I'll see you all on the flip side.